It's so great to be here with you all today. Back in 2018, 2019, I actually spoke with United Way. And back then I was doing a lot of the speaking was around sharing my personal story. I was sharing my personal story of me at the age of 20 years old, how I had met a guy and I had fell in love. And soon after being with him, I also discovered that he was abusive. And soon after that, I discovered that I was also pregnant. I was young, I was alone, and I was in need. And I'm so grateful at that time that a community program that actually is funded by United Way stepped in and gave me and my son exactly what we needed to get out of that situation, to create stability for us in our lives so that we can thrive. I was that domino effect, the domino effect of that organization. All the generosity, the humanity, and the empowerment that they instilled in me is exactly the chain of events of effect that I've been instilling in others. And so I'm so grateful for that program. And so since then, I've been thriving, me and my son. I've been chasing success, checking all the boxes, and keeping my blinders on so I can focus on my task. And like many of us, COVID-19 kind of gave us a halt. It created a pause in our lives, whether we wanted it or not. A lot of us lost a lot of things that we deeply loved. And some of that might have been freedom. For some, it might have been the loss of physical touch. For my mom, it was the loss of her health, her independence, and her freedom. My mom got ill, and she actually ended up in hospice. And in that moment, we knew that it was no longer just her problem. Her health was a community problem. My mom had 7 kids, so her community was her family. So me and my siblings, we took off our blinders and got off that roller coaster ride of the self-indulged life, and we chose to show up for our mom. We knew our roles and we played it well. You see, my mom didn't need just one kid to take on the burden of everything. She needed every single one of us to step in and to know our role. Now, it makes sense why people dismiss others. And usually I think it's because we feel overwhelmed and we don't know what to do to make the greatest impact. And I'm not exempt from that either. Just recently, I was actually in Mexico teaching a yoga retreat, and I had a layover in Chicago. And while I was in Chicago, I was on Michigan Avenue, had my phone out with a whole list of all these organic coffee shops I was going to go to, champagne bars. I was on that corner on Michigan Avenue, filled with other women who were just as motivated and goal-oriented as I was. As I was standing there, it wasn't just us that was there. There was also a man that was in need. He was hungry and he was asking for help. Many of the people on that same corner were so busy looking around, taking in the scenery, but they were only choosing to see what they wanted to see. They dismissed him as if he didn't even exist. And I was along with that crowd, but something happened in that moment where time paused. Space was created. And in that space, I had a choice to keep moving along with the crowd and dismissing this man in need, or I had the choice to stop. And in that moment, I chose to stop. I stopped, and I knew in that moment that it was that man that was a part of my community. I was sharing space with him. So I decided to take him to get a sandwich. I walked with him and talked with him along the way, and that moment forever changed me. Now, I say all this because I know it makes sense, once again, why we dismiss others. And usually it's because life pulls us in so many different directions. You see, we can have this illusion of life thinking it's all about chasing the ideal, checking the boxes, and basically missing the moment. But that day on Michigan Avenue, I gave up my running shoes. I was officially done with the chase. I gave up my key to the private gated community of the arrived, and instead I chose to embrace what that moment was calling of me. And that moment was calling of me humanity. And I'm here today to invite you to embrace what is being called of you in this moment. Today, I'm inviting you to take off your blinders to the community, because their needs are not just their problem, it's a community problem. And I'm sure many of you have heard this quote, the quote that says, "A child of the village will burn it down in order to feel its warmth." And I'm here to tell you, it is us. We are the village. It is time to embrace the community. because this is your space. Your space between choosing to go into autopilot and putting your blinders on, and the space between someone's life changing. And now I tell you all this not to overwhelm you or for you to think that it's all on you to solve this problem, because it's not. And it's not all on me either. It needs every single one of us to step in and to show up. And I'm standing here today as a symbol to invite you to join with United Way, a community of change makers taking a stand to unite. And this is your space between hearing a need and choosing what to do with it. And my only question for you is, what do you choose? Thank you.